Okay, as we are gathering, I would like to just say good morning and welcome to the annual history conference sponsored by the Foundation for Restoration of St. Genevieve. We're so glad that you all could be here with us. It's very exciting to see some new faces and to welcome faces who've been here every year. So I just wanted to start out this morning by welcoming everyone, and my name is Sandra Cabot. I have been a member of the foundation since 2003, and I've been on the board for, heaven help me, I think 9 years now. And they asked me to be your MC today, so I'm happy to do that. I also serve, since June of this year, as the Director of Tourism for St. Genevieve. So if anyone has a tourism-related question, please let me know. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions. With that, I would like to recognize the chairperson of the program committee, who has just done a wonderful job in preparing the program and all of the materials and arrangements that need to be made to make a conference like this successful, and that is Bonnie Samuelson. Bonnie. And I would also like to recognize the new president of the foundation, and that is Mr. Al Kaiser. I'd like to introduce the first speaker to you today, Kent Beaulne, as he introduced himself as we went around. The title of his presentation is Cultural Remnants of the Old Post-Louisiana Purchase Population. Kent is a carpenter by trade, a folklorist, and history buff by preference. Kent lives in old mines, as he said, and he currently is documenting the surviving cultural remnants of old post-Louisiana purchase populations. His talk today will focus on the iron crosses as iconic cemetery markers, not only in old mines, but at some of our other cemeteries in the area. He has graciously brought some of those crosses to the conference, and we'll be telling you about them. I would also like to point out to you, I know probably several people in the audience subscribe to the Missouri Life publication, and in their February-March issue, they did a feature on French traditions in Missouri, and there was quite a bit in here in this article about old mines, and also Ken just mentioned it there, and it really focuses on, and we have Alice Strange to thank for this. She was the one who said she was the French professor, so it focuses quite a bit on the tradition of the French language in Missouri as well. So we have a limited number of copies of those that will be available at the table if you would like to see those. I would also like to point out to you that in your packet there is information about an upcoming event sponsored by those at Old Mines, or it might actually be. Bonnie, is the Old Mines information in the packet or on the table? It's in the packet? Okay.
Their October 6th event.
Okay. So there's information in your packet about that event. Also, there's information about a Les Amis event, and we're glad that they could be here with us today, some of the members of that organization, and we all like to support each other's activities. So without further ado, I give you Kent Beaulne and his presentation.
Well, anyway, my screensaver is a house that I took down, moved, and restored. This was the Duclos house built in the 1840s, and it's one of about 10 restored. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get to the iron crosses. I want you to notice there's a lot of similarities in the end designs of these iron crosses as we go across North America. All right, this is the most common design, the diamond point. I think if I put this on slideshow it'll work better because it'll be a darker background. There we go. You'll see this in a lot of these designs as we go from here to Louisiana up into Quebec, into Canada. These designs go back to the time of the Crusades. So what you've got is you've got blacksmiths in North America making designs from the Crusades that have been handed down for centuries. So there's like a couple of unique designs at each settlement, but then there's a lot of shared designs all through the region. And so far I've only found these in French and Catholic cemeteries. Now I want to explain something here. These crosses are basically three types. Two pieces where the crossbar laps the upright with a couple rivets. Then there's these two types made out of, I think maybe the blacksmith was just using up some scraps. But this one, the crossbar is one piece. The upright is a piece here, and you'll see this is a reinforcement in the back. And we'll have some pictures of this. Now this one, the upright is one piece, the crossbar is a short piece with reinforcement. Okay, here's some fancy designs you'll see. All right, now this one is really interesting. This is I found this in Crystal City. This is about 6 feet tall, and it's on the grave of a blacksmith. So he must have made this ahead of time for his own impending death. Can you turn out some more lights back there so it's dark? And this is his name. He's got his anvil on there. Can you read that? Okay.
What year was that?
1975, right there. He's got a military stone as well. My friends think I'm crazy because every time I drive, I have to go look. Now, this is the Vertical Log Church in Cahokia. I'm going to have to go to the regular so I can zoom in on this. The church is 1790. There we go. You can see there's some detail on that. So that they may have been from the previous church before the 1790. You can see some lace work up there. All right. Go to the next one. Okay. Now this is a little cemetery in Blackwell, Missouri, which surprised me because it's a Masonic cemetery, and I haven't found these iron crosses in any Protestant cemeteries yet. Okay, I gotta look at my list now. Those two are Blackwell. Now, this is in Bloomsdale. You see the lace work? It's a little thicker than a coat hanger, and they connected it with a strap. They didn't have they used the word welding and forging, but wasn't like a modern welding, electric or gas welder. All right, now this one is in Bonne Terre, and these little designs are real thin, and then they're riveted to the main cross. And you see the design here, the scroll work. Okay, the next one, this is in Freeburg. You see you'll see the hollow design. There's a word for it. I forgot what it's called right now. And it's got a plaque for the initials. Some towns, they put plaques on there for names.
Do they have dates on any of these?
Some of them do. Okay, this is Lawrenceville. Now, I believe the crosses are generally from around 1800 to the 1940s. Before 1800, iron was very scarce. There's probably a few examples of it, but iron was very expensive. But when the railroads came through in the 1840s, then you could get all kinds of processed iron from the steel mills up in Chicago, the Great Lakes. All right. See the fleur-de-lis on the end? Yeah. Strip points? Now, the next 6 are going to be Lawrenceville.
Where is that?
It's in this county. It's between here and French Village. Okay. You'll see the same designs. The heart. See the ends? They're hollow. There's a cross on a cross.
That's cool.
Yeah. What they did here was somehow they split the extension of the metal. They spread it apart. And they made the end motif. Same thing here. This was all done with a hammer, a forge. Okay, now we're in old mines. We're going to have 11 photos from here. This is the church, St. Joachim's, or St. Joachim, like the old people said. Let me go back. It was built finished in 1831, so it's coming up on its bicentennial. I believe it's the second oldest church in the Archdiocese. Ferdinand has the oldest one, I was told. You'll see a cross up on the steeple, which is actually it's wood and it's gold leaf. Now this is a project we have for people that stop by to let them know we're trying to figure out a plat for the cemetery. The parish was established in 1828. There's a general view, there's the iron gates.
Wow.
It doesn't look like it, but there's 180 crosses in the cemetery.
Wow.
It's the highest concentration I've found of any cemetery so far. You'll see the same designs on all these towns. Now right here, if you look behind, this is a stone, and this cross used to rest on the stone. What happened was over time, they rusted the stone, and they fell over, and we found them. What we have to do is we have to weld about a foot to this one. We're going to dig post hole, we're going to set it in concrete in front of the stone, but we have to add to it because we don't want to turn a Latin cross into a Greek cross. Western Christianity has the upright taller than the crossbar, where the Eastern cross or the Greek cross is basically what you see here. They're the same length. I think I have an upright. Okay. Okay, here you see the stone. What they did was they drilled a hole, and then they poured molten lead. I don't know where they got lead around here. But they poured molten lead in to hold the cross and the stone. All right, here's a view of where the cross is rusted off. A lot of these were found under the side. There's probably more, we just haven't found them yet. We'll wait till we fix the ones we got before we look for more. Yeah, and this is nothing. Wait till you get to Zell. Zell has the really good fancy ones. This is the most common design. You know, Zell's only about 5 miles from here.
Yeah.
But all these designs, these aren't additions. They split the piece of iron and then they twisted it. So blacksmiths didn't just make horseshoes and nails. They did a lot. And all the crosses of old mines except for one is a 2-piece latch. I found one yesterday when I took these photos where it was 3 pieces and they were butted. But you can see the lap here. Yeah, we're still at old mines, St. Joachim's oldest cemetery. Okay, here you see where the cross rested off. This is all about 1/4-inch iron. 1/4 inch thick by about 1.5 inches, 3 inches wide. Okay, now this is a collection that we found in the brush.
Oh my God.
And we were lucky, unlike St. Genevieve, where you lost some crosses in your old cemetery that I'm going to show you photos of. Our cemetery is surrounded by woods, so they fell over when they started mowing the cemetery in the 40s. They stacked them along the fence, and they grew up in honeysuckle vines, and nobody found them, so nobody cashed them in for scrap. So we were lucky. And this is what a mowing machine did. When they introduced the brush hogs, before it, the cemeteries were generally grown up in jungle. So it was a mixed blessing when they started cutting. Okay, this is interesting. This is at the second cemetery. This is my great-grandpa, Roussan Portel. What happened was a little cedar was allowed to grow next to it. These cemeteries are full of cedars. It looks like the cross was hammered into the cedar. He died in 1957, and the tree has grown around the cross.
I'm surprised it's that recent. What time frame are we generally talking about here?
Well, they were still making these in the 50s.
Huh.
They were still building log houses in the 50s, too. At old mines, yes. And Potosi and Richwoods. northern Washington County. Okay, we just switched towns. Now we're in Prairie du Rocher, just across the river. You see how flat it is? Okay, this is the style you'll see in certain areas. And these have the nameplates on them. You'll see some of the same designs. You see, I want to close up on this one. Whoops, let me go back. This one was actually made out of water pipe. And you just buy your fittings, and then you've seen a lot of fences, they would use this pipe and they would put this round, screw the round ball onto the top. So this is a lot later across. The tradition of the cross only died out when the blacksmith disappeared. So someone was persistent. Crosses aren't really a sign of poverty, it was just a tradition. So when we lost our blacksmiths, so you see, didn't someone here have it? I thought I had this.
Good.
This is it. So we have the Germans and the French. At first I thought the Germans, because they came 100 years later, had stolen French designs, but I thought, that doesn't make any sense. Because the Germans don't have what happened is, all these cultures have got the same designs. It's rooted in European Christianity, mostly Catholicism, and it goes back to the time of the Crusades. But it's on these void crosses, I'm not sure where that came from. Okay, now we're in Potosi. This is the only iron cross that I found in Potosi. And it's on the grave of a Gogoro.
Pardon me?
An old, now this one is in Richwoods, Missouri. There's about a dozen crosses in Richwoods, which is in northern Washington County. Okay, this one is in St. Genevieve. Okay, these are the three that were in St. Genevieve in the old cemetery, which I think are gone now. Oh, you'll see the reinforcement rod here? Means this is one piece and the upright is two pieces. And then here's the scroll work that should be up here.
Just fell down.
Yeah, whoever cut the grass just hung it. This is the town cemetery. There's the upright. All right, the next 12 are out here at the newer cemetery. And you'll see some different designs. The endpoints is common, but the scroll work is some different types of scroll work. This is out where they had that big box store for Grandpa Pigeons.
Yeah.
So there's some writing on this one. Okay, we're switching towns. This is in Beaulne, Missouri, which is on the way to Columbia. This is Weingarten. There's 6 here from Weingarten. Okay, this is the back of the one you just saw. It's kind of dark. I wanted to show the detail. And it's got let me zoom in for you for the name. It's German. There are cast iron crosses, and then there are these forged crosses. And I used to go to the Weingarten picnic, and I thought they were all cast iron, but I looked again, and there was some homemade. It's all in German, which you can see better on my screen.
On your screen.
1789, I think it was born. 18, let me say, died.
7 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, it looks like it's the same 7 as above. Okay. Almost. 1870 something. I will go on now. This is a detail of some fancy work that fell off of a cross. It's on a stone. there's still a wine garden. They have a great picnic, wine garden. I like the family picnics, they're a lot of fun. Okay, now this is an example of a cast iron process I just wanted to show you. And you have some of the same design with the cast iron ones that were made in foundries as you do with the hand forged ones made by the blacksmiths. Okay, now this is a monastery in Arkansas. A friend of mine was down there and she sent me these pictures. That one's different. So it has, but Arkansas was also part of Louisiana before the Americans took over. We had the French settlements all up the rivers. Okay, this is the back of a cross, and I'll show you the front. There's the front. I'm not sure if it's stone or wood, but it's probably stone. Here's a good design where you can see where it's butt welded. And then there's the brace in back that holds it together.
It looked like you did the same thing on the scroll work. There's like a.
Yeah, it is like a clamp.
Yeah.
We've got that one twice. There's a good picture of the back.
Sometimes like a piece across the back.
And those are riveted on. You can see the rivets. You can see the clamps too. Okay, this is part of a cross. I got two different pictures, and there's a name. Something Harter died November 19.
Was it 1900 or
1903.
Something.
Yeah. So I'll show you the other piece of the cross in the next photo. There we go. It's probably Frida. I wanted to see that better.
Yeah, it looks like there's little
Pivots.
or something on the edges.
Yeah.
The scroll work.
These there?
There's a lot of work. No, the end of the scroll work.
Oh,
So it
yeah, the
takes-
little,
like arrows.
little points, yep.
That's a lot of work to have. Yeah.
Yeah, these blacksmiths were quite, some of them were simple designs and some of them got really fancy. Okay. Now we're in Zell.
That's itself.
Yep.
Wow.
Zell, they went all out.
Harry started after lunch. What is that so absurd?
I know, I know it's
When I run out of more time, then I do photos. I like this design here. It's almost a shamrock, but I don't think it is. An art historian will be able to tell us. I'm not sure if we're Put it out. These are the same as far as the stone. They go the hole in the stone and they pour the molten lead. There's that same design. We used to get dragged to the cemetery on Decoration Day to visit dead people when I was a kid. And at the time I thought the crosses were as tall as I was, so Years later, when I got interested in this, the first thing I thought was, where's all the tall crosses? They're still there. Zell had a lot of crosses. I'm going to photograph the house. Okay, now we're going to go to Louisiana. Lots of Louisiana. This is upper. And you'll see, even though most of them have their stone slabs that are buried, you have to remember the Acadians were Acadians from Nova Scotia, where they buried above ground. So they must have brought the tradition of the Iron Cross with them. They continued to use it even though they really didn't need it as a marker because they've got the other markers. Like you'll see here.
This is in Louisiana?
Uh-huh.
What town?
Well, I can't tell you for sure. I've got about 5 towns here.
Okay.
I don't have I have the names on the back of the original pictures. But it's all around Lafayette. There's Mamou.
Oh,
See this here? That's a common design. Mamou and the cathedral there in Lafayette, I think is where most of these pictures are mostly from. I've got 11. And they have a tradition there where on a day or two before Toussaint, which is Halloween, they go to the cemetery, they clean up the cemetery, and they whitewash everything. So we've seen that design already up here in Upper Louisiana. There's the nameplate.
Were those air points welded on or? That's
You know what?
That's tough.
I'm not sure. Let me see if we can zoom in on this. I took these pictures like in the last 20 years, and I just put them on here in the last couple of days. In fact, I didn't know I had all these photos already. It looks like it's probably when they split it, they kept the center and twirled it. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, so it's more about the blacksmith than it is about grave markers. The blacksmith's work. L'artisan forgeron is what you call it. Of course, not all the people French in Louisiana are Acadian. You've got the French who came over from France, who were there before the Acadians, so they would have brought the tradition of the Iron Cross with them as well. Okay, now we're going to go to Canada. We'll see some similarities. Look, 13 from Quebec. They see the steeple. Let's zoom in on that.
Which church is this?
This is in Quebec City, which is full of churches. They're all
Yeah, I know.
They're all cathedrals. Kind of like St. Genevieve, for such a small town, you've got a huge church. They put a lot of resources into their churches. You see some of the work up there? So somebody, I'm looking at these flags, Quebec, Canada, and France. Somebody neutral. Because there's a big competition.
That looks like a piece of wrought iron from someone's porch.
Well, you know, you do see this design on the wrought iron porches.
Yeah.
That's the same tradition of the blacksmith being handed down. This was all oral tradition, not oral, but handed down generation to generation through centuries. This one is different. Beaulne. Telesphone, Adeline, and Jean. Must be three people buried. And so that, didn't we just see that in Weingarten?
Really?
Yeah, Giselle, I mean, it's like all these connections. Joseph Magnon.
Keep Canyon down here in Missouri.
Is there Manions here?
My cousins.
Really?
That's spelled M-A-N-I-O-N.
I like
Oh,
this.
wow.
Oh,
Good.
Beautiful.
This is up the north coast, following the same lines out of Quebec City, past the Ile de
Can't hear you.
Romans. See the fleur de lis on the end?
Yes.
That could be old mines right there. There's the simple cross and the void cross. This is definitely the most common design, as well as the diamond. It may have been the easiest to make too. Okay, now we're going to go out to Saskatchewan, West Virginia. I've got 5. The base is interesting with this one because it's different. I'm thinking it's not in stone. It's kind of like a
Weird.
it's like it's like 3 prongs and they stepped on it to drive it into the ground. Like we got some politician signs with the new wire. You step on them and drive them in. For sale signs, I think it's the same design because I think there's 2 here in Saskatchewan.
See, it is like weird. You
Come on, stop.
gee.
Let me see, I'm going to go back to that one. It didn't stop.
Looks like a clock in the center.
This tea?
Yep, the nameplate thing.
Yeah.
T. Bouillet. And that's in Saskatchewan. This is out in Mexican country too. It's mixed Indian and French. And this is where the big insurrection was Louis Riel.
It was Manitoba.
Was it Manitoba? Okay.
Yeah.
When Canada wanted to take over, what did they call that? Rupert Land?
Yeah,
They were all living under the company and they didn't want to live under the Canadian.
May I ask, what's in the center of the cross?
Those are nameplates.
That's the name, okay.
Yeah, well, let's zoom in and make sure, but I know that some places they put the nameplates on.
Then how come the nameplate's down the bottom of that?
Right.
I don't
it almost
know.
looks like
Maybe
a
the
clock.
original was up there, aren't it?
Let's zoom in and see what it says. It might just be a decoration. It might be a way of connecting them too. So there's a big
Makes
rivet
it
there.
look like a clock, but it's
That's it.
Would there have been a photograph in there?
There might have been an image,
Or
right?
glass one?
Yeah, there might have been an image.
Right, maybe that was it. Okay. Thank you.
What I like about digital photography, you can zoom in. You can see things you couldn't see before. All right. Back to the slideshow. Almost to the end here. All right, here's the name. Maybe this third one. Let's see what the name is on this one. Something Beaulne. Looks like it's Napoleon Beaulne.
Like PJL, it's crazy.
This is the last one.
Oh. Where's that?
This is the last one.
Do the over the fence there too?
No, it's just growing up in brush. It's, a lot of crosses have disappeared though, if you're in a town. Because there wasn't safety of stacking them along the fence and looking up in brush. They were packed off. Okay, we're back to the main design. So I'll show you those again, you'll recognize them. You've seen the photos. Now this is one that I didn't show you a photo of, but it's basically about the thickness of not quite as thick as concrete rebar. And then they had put wire around it too as well. I've only seen one or two of those. There's your pipe cross, a Curly Rocher. And different designs. Now I've got a little story written up about this. If you give me your emails, I'll mail it to you.
Okay.
Make a list. So what I'll do now is I've got some real crosses I brought that we borrowed.
Rescue.
That's another one.
Y'all can,
We're heavy.
you want to come and see it? It's easier to, I'll bring one to you. You can see the This one looks like it was just driven in the ground. See how thin it is? This is Mary, Zoe, both people here.
Mr. Hanson, I do.
They spelled Zoe, Z-O-W-A-Y, they spelled it phonetically. See if you can make it out.
What was the last name?
Yeah.